Hey guys, and welcome back to the Geeks the Multiverse podcast. Today we have some fairly interesting topics for you, starting off with Deadpool in the MCU, as now confirmed by Kevin Feige. Then we'll be talking about the future of Batman in DC films, spread across the multiverse. After that, we'll be talking about Marvel Netflix characters returning to their main MCU. Then we'll be talking about Ray Fisher. Is he out as Cyborg? Has he been replaced? I'm not sure, but we'll get into that later. And finally, a topic I'm very excited to talk about, Doctor Doom, rumoured to be in Black Panther 2. So, my name is Brandon.
My name's Will.
And you can find all of our socials in our respective link trees down in the description below. And without further ado, let's get into the podcast. Alright, so starting off with Deadpool in the MCU. So, Kevin Feige, I'm not sure where he was and why he was talking to people, but he said something about the Deadpool being in the MCU, and how it will be coming to the MCU and it will be R-rated, and that he's working on scripts currently with Ryan Reynolds. So that's cool.
He's a very busy man, he said. So
He said he's a very busy man. Yes.
it'll be a while before we get Deadpool 3, but it's going to be in the MCU, so be happy. Be very happy.
Yeah, indeed. But my guess, personally, 2023, did you say? Or
Late 2022 or 2023, yeah.
Yeah.
But it'll be a
I
while.
think 2022 is already pretty full with their slate.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd say 2023 is probably the likely option. Which is interesting. It's really cool. I mean, this, unless we get like little slithers in other projects, this will be the first exposure we have, or at least full exposure that we have to mutants in the MCU.
Yeah, that's true. Just depends how they do it.
It does. It really does. Do you think the film will be like? Do you think it will? Do you think it will like address the other films and be like, oh yeah, this is Deadpool 3, rather than like, oh, this is Deadpool reboot / he's our version, as opposed to...
Yeah, I think they have to, because there's so many characters that they would have to drop otherwise.
Yeah.
I think that's interesting though, because that means that if they bring all those other characters across to the MCU, then
yeah, it's an interesting one in terms of like who they bring in.
Yeah, because they've got a lot of characters from Deadpool 1 and 2 that they can't just drop off because they're so important to Deadpool and the films.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. They are quite important to the films themselves. Like, not so much the Deadpool character, but like they've become so iconic and so synonymous with them, with that franchise and them films, that I couldn't really imagine Deadpool without at least like Dopender and maybe like Colossus or something.
Yeah, because he's been such a big part of the first two films already that it would be weird not to have him in the third one. But then that means that they'd have to bring him across to the MCU, and they'd have to connect the two universes. But I guess that wouldn't be too hard, considering all of the multiverse films that are coming out in the next few years.
Yeah, that's the thing. You could either bring them in as those characters played by those actors, as those versions, or you could simply have Deadpool jump on over and then be like, oh shit, where's my friends? And then he has to go find the MCU versions of them, and they don't know who he is, but he's like, oh yeah, you remember me? I punched you in your silver balls, you know, and this, all that kind of like weird meme pool shit.
Yeah. But that also poses the question if they're going to continue with the X-Force film, because that's been around for a while, and we still haven't seen or heard much about it.
Very true. I mean, personally, I doubt it as of yet. I think X-Force is a long way off. If we do get X-Force, it will be once the X-Men as a team are already established for a few years. Like in terms of like, if you think about it, like in the way that the Avengers is kind of going now, like you've had Avengers for a few years, and then we're starting to get other like subsections of the teams. So personally, I think they'll put the X-Men in the MCU as like their own thing, and then because the X-Men are so huge, they're like fucking like 75% of Marvel Comics. Like there's so many of them. That's when they'll start doing like little subdivisions and then we'll get X-Force. I don't know.
We'll see. We'll see. Marvel have got a long way to go yet with all this stuff, and it's interesting that we're already talking about Deadpool 3 because it's been a while that we've heard anything, what's happening, and there's been a lot of confusion whether it's going to be MCU or not, and R-rated because obviously Disney don't really like to tarnish their image.
I mean, they'll be probably distributing it under the name of Fox.
Yeah.
It won't be like, oh, this is Disney's. This is like,
Disney's
oh no, this is
Deadpool.
Fox, but Disney owns it. You know, it's like, and
Yeah.
the thing is that the kind of like, in a way, gets under my skin is that years ago, Bob Iger said that they would be down for doing R-rated films, just distributed under different companies that they own. And as soon as the Fox deal was happening, we got the confirmation that Deadpool as Ryan Reynolds would be joining the MCU. But people just still can't help but complain, like, oh yeah, they're not going to do it. They're not going to do it. And when something like this happens, they take it as like the very first time we've ever heard anything about the Deadpool movies joining the MCU.
Well, Ryan Reynolds did post that thing like ages ago where he's on a bus going to Disney or whatever it was. Can't
That
remember what
too,
it
and
was.
also him in front of a Marvel Studios wall or something like that, like he'd been to talk with them or something.
Yeah.
Do you remember the post?
I think I remember what you're talking about.
Yeah. So, I mean, either way, it's very exciting stuff. I just hope this doesn't mean that. I mean, I hope this doesn't mean that we get Hugh Jackman in the MCU as much as Ryan would want that. I'm done with him now. Move on. You know, like he was great, but I think it's time to move on from him as Wolverine.
I'm assuming that if Deadpool ever meets like the new Wolverine, he's gonna be like, "You're not Hugh Jackman" or whatever.
Oh, you
That's
can be totally sure.
yeah,
Like every X-Men he meets, you'll be like, "Oh, you're not McAvoy or Stewart. It was the new guy."
yeah.
You know, it's like, oh god, like I hope that they can, like, Feige can kind of. I mean, I love Ryan, but I hope Feige can keep a leash on him a little bit and keep some of that meme pool stuff away and make him, in a way, more of the mercenary. I mean, that's why he's called the Merc with the mouth. Like, make him a bit more serious,
A
but keep the
little
joke.
bit, but he's Ryan Reynolds still, so who knows
I
what
mean,
they're gonna do.
very true. I wouldn't be surprised if he was like wearing a Pikachu themed Deadpool costume in the next movie. I really wouldn't.
Yeah, that's true. He's Detective Deadpool now.
Detective Deadpool. That's the thing. That's going to be the title of the movie. Confirmed.
All right, well, we're
Each
off
of them
this.
have the scoop.
Yes, well, we're off this tangent. We should probably get off Deadpool now and
We
move
should
on
probably
to
get off Deadpool. Yes.
the future of Batman in DC films.
Yes. Yes. Recently we've had some confirmations that I'm not sure who the source is. I do know, but I can't remember. But it was someone on Twitter, I do believe, commented on how Michael Keaton would be the main Batman for the sort of DC films and DCEU going forward, and Robert Pattinson would almost be like an Earth 2 to that universe, and he would be like doing his own thing while Michael Keaton's doing whatever he's doing, traversing the multiverse or whatever is going on with that character. I really don't know. So yeah, what do you think about this?
Well, it's a bit confusing because obviously in DC they had the whole event of Crisis on Infinite Earths, and now if they're calling Pattinson Earth 2, then that's clearly not the actual Earth 2 of the multiverse because they connected all of the universes, didn't they, in the Flash episode?
Well, yeah, Earth 2, the new Earth 2 is now Stargirl.
Yeah, so Pattinson can't be from that same Earth unless they want to do a Stargirl Robert Pattinson Batman crossover. Just will never work.
I mean, they can have Earth 102 and 101, but they can't have. I mean, Earth Prime could either mean Earth 0 or Earth 1, but either way, those numbers are kind of occupied. So I hope that when the Flash movie, if they do address the numbers of the Earths he goes to, that they remain consistent, because Crisis did confirm that the DCEU is within the same multiverse as the CW verse and all that stuff. So
yeah, But what are they gonna do with Ben Affleck if Michael Keaton's now taking over? Because we love Batfleck and don't want him dead.
No, we don't. I love him. What a guy. Um, I mean, it's an interesting one. I feel like to give this character a bit more emotional weight, I mean, do you think maybe we'll see Zoom kill him or Ebor Thorn, Reverse Flash, that's the
Yeah,
thing I'm looking for. Do you think we'll see Reverse Flash kill Ben
maybe.
Affleck? I'm saying it with like huge reluctancy in my voice because I don't. I mean, although it'd be great storytelling, I don't want it to happen because I love Batfleck. I have this like huge bias where I'm like, oh man, but I love that guy. So I don't know.
Well, it's pretty obvious they're gonna do some like Batman Beyond stuff if they're gonna
I
have this
mean,
older
maybe.
Batman character.
I mean, they said he's going to be the Nick Fury of the DC multiverse. So I assume that means assembling something and like popping up in different things, connecting pieces, and like. Can you imagine we get like Michael Keaton show up in Batwoman show? That'd be weird, dude. He's like, Kate Kane, you're not Kate. He's like, no. She's like, no, I'm not.
Oh,
And
sorry,
that
wrong.
would be
Sorry,
like
I must be in the wrong
multiverse.
universe. Bye bye.
Yeah, you got like this weird like multiverse Bat family. We got like Brenton Thwaites being like fuck Batman. Then you got like Michael Keaton and all these people.
And
That'd be
then
weird.
there's three Batmen. There's
I mean, that's the
fucking
thing. We have got a lot of Bruce Waynes on the go. Not necessarily Batman, but we've got a lot of Bruce Waynes. We've got what? Ben Affleck, Michael Keaton, Robert
Robert Pattinson,
Pattinson,
the one from
Ian Glenn.
Stargirl, not
Stop.
Stargirl, the one from Batwoman.
Yeah, whatever his name is. Like, we got like 5 Bruces running around the joint. So, jeez. I
That
mean,
is,
I'll take it. I'll take it. But
that is a lot of Bruces. But how are they gonna do these crossovers with like Robert Pattinson's Batman? And if they're gonna do multiverse, because it seems way more grounded than everything else.
I don't think they're gonna do any sort of crossover because they said like he'd be off to the side in a Earth 2 sort of fashion where it's like a separate universe. I think is what they were. I think that's the thing that like the guy was getting at when he said it. An Earth 1 and Earth 2. He didn't mean they are Earth 1 and Earth 2. I think and I hope he means that it's just kind of like, oh yeah, they're separate universes. They're in the same multiverse, but they're like, and they're running alongside each other, and they're going to be like, you're going to have Robert Pattinson show up in the same year as Michael Keaton and Ben Affleck, but they're all kind of like remaining pretty separate.
Yeah, but it's Warner Brothers. Somewhere down the line, of course, they're gonna try and do crossovers.
Oh
They
God,
love the
I hope
money.
not.
They
I
love
hope
the
not.
money.
I really hope not. Oh no, no, no. Will, you got me nervous now.
And on that note, we're gonna move over to the Netflix shows returning. Okay, so the Netflix shows. It's been a lot of talk has been going around recently about Daredevil maybe being in Spider-Man 3.
Mm,
And so therefore now they've kind of spoke about the Netflix shows. Well, Mr. Feige said pretty much summing it up. He said he's been at Marvel long enough to never say never about anything, which is his little way of saying yes, they're gonna happen, but I'm not exactly directly telling you in his little Feige ways. But
yeah.
we'll see because they're very popular. Well, most of them are popular. I'm pretty sure. Would you say Jessica Jones isn't incredibly popular
Um,
compared to the
I,
other ones?
I I'd say so. Yeah. I mean, it's a good show, but yeah, probably not. The main big ones are Daredevil and Punisher.
Yeah.
Although I'd love to see them all return. I mean, like if you're gonna bring back one or two of them, you gotta bring back all. Just make it all within continuity. I mean, I'm sure the fact that the Kingpin's running around New York City isn't gonna stop the fact that like isn't gonna get on the radar of like Tony Stark.
Yeah.
I mean, Tony wouldn't even help Spidey at the start of Spider-Man: Homecoming with Vulture, and he was like in some mech suit robbing the Avengers shit. So it's like if he's not going to bother with Vulture until like halfway through the movie, he's not going to bother with the Kingpin being like, "Oh yeah, I'm going to be the mayor of the city." It's like, it's not my issue.
But that that if they do continue them, that means that they can possibly cross over into pretty close Marvel films, such as Spider-Man 3, like we said with Daredevil earlier, and also Jessica Jones could pop up in She-Hulk. What do you
Well,
think
that
about
is a
that?
rumor that's been floating around. Yeah,
Yeah. It
I
was
think
only
it's
since he
good.
said that. I'm pretty sure it was only since Feige said that. Because I hadn't
Yeah,
heard of this before.
no, me neither. And I haven't heard. I think it's just a rumor. He hasn't said anything, but he. I think people are taking this quote and matching it with the quote when he was talking about She-Hulk, and where he was like, "You never know who could show up." So I think people are kind of taking these two quotes and kind of matching them up in a sense that it's like, oh, so basically the Marvel Netflix shows are going to be connected to She-Hulk, which I think is cool. I mean, she's what, a PI? So there could be some sort of link there. Um, Daredevil, I mean, he's a lawyer, so there could be some sort of link there. Honestly, I think do it. She-Hulk is literally the perfect opportunity to get most of these shows over.
Yeah.
And like, what if there's another trial of Frank Castle, and like Matt Murdock has to represent him? Like, it's literally the perfect sort of intro to get these characters in the MCU, like main continuity. And from that, yeah, I pose this question to you: do you think they touch? I mean, I don't think they will. Do you think they touch the Runaways and Cloak and Dagger and Agents of Shield and all that sort of stuff?
I think maybe Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., because they've got a few characters there that could be pretty useful for them in the MCU. And I wouldn't say there's an overly large fan base for that show, but it's a decent sized amount of
Which
people.
is a shame because it's a
Yeah.
good show.
And it's clearly messing around with time travel and stuff. It would fit well with the MCU, but maybe if they rebranded it, like we spoke about, I can't remember if it was on the podcast or not, but if we were talking about like Agents of Sword,
Yeah,
like they could just rebrand it and be like, oh, it's the spiritual successor to the show, and just have a few of the characters popping up again. Because it would be weird not for it to be canon, because you've got characters from the MCU in it. You got Coulson. You got Lady Sif. She was in it.
you got Lady Sif, you got Nick
Nick
Fury,
Fury. Yep.
or is his name pronounced Furry?
Ooh, I don't know.
So it kind of like it makes the most sense. So it kind of makes the most sense to put these shows in canon, because if you take them out of canon, it makes the universe feel all that much smaller.
I don't think they've ever actually said it wasn't canon, and I feel like that's what Kevin Feige would say. But it's just like they weren't told things that were happening in the MCU.
Yeah, like the thing is, like people assume it's not canon just because, and I find this ridiculous. Like people say it's not canon because it's not connecting. Like, what do I go around every day saying Vladimir Putin? No, but is he real? Yeah. So just because like Matt Murdock doesn't go around saying Tony Stark's name every other sentence doesn't mean they're not in the same universe.
Yeah, they don't have to just directly mention everything. Like, if you want to go like that, then you can say that Agents of Shield it basically directly ran into Age of Ultron, because there's that scene where they find out where the scepter is, and then they send in the Avengers, and
Yeah,
then
I mean, I mean, Agents of Shield is connected to so many MCU things, like the fall of Shield, Age of Ultron, Sokovia Accords, like up until just a few seasons ago, where they had to distance themselves because they weren't told anything about Infinity War. They were very much connected to what was happening in the mainline universe.
I'm sure Kevin Feige still has some input on that show, right? And
No,
what?
I don't think he does. No.
Never mind then. But they did bring up Thanos at one point.
They did at this was this was at the end of the last season that you could consider canon before they sort of like jumped into another timeline because they were messing with time travel. They did mention that Thanos was coming, but the next season just didn't touch on it because obviously over on the TV side they didn't let them know what was going on.
Yeah. So
I mean, to wrap up this topic, should they do it? Yes.
yes, definitely.
Simple as, really.
They have Disney Plus. I'm pretty sure Agents of Shield is already on Disney Plus, isn't it?
It is, and I'm watching it every week, and I'm like 6 months behind America. I have no idea how it ends.
Ah,
So yeah. Moving on to the next topic. Ray Fisher, is he out as Cyborg?
I don't know, man, because he has been like pretty much just declared war on the rest of the higher ups of Warner Brothers and DC now. So
Oh,
honestly, I don't think it's a surprise that people are saying that he's been replaced or just been kicked off the role of Cyborg, because, like I said, he's been going for some people. First it was Joss Whedon, now he's gone for Hamada, and I'm pretty sure there's more people as well. Just the whole of
yeah,
Warner
man.
Brothers, he just won't work with him again for some
He's
reason.
going ham. Like every time they make an announcement, like about anything, it's like, oh yeah, Michael Keaton's gonna be in Flashpoint. Anything he says, anything they say, he's like, he comes out with something new to retaliate, and it's like, oh, dude, just like I get it. Maybe you. I mean, I'm sure you did have a bad experience on Justice League. That's absolutely fine. Well, it's not fine, but you know what I mean. Like that's cool. Like we get that. Other people have said it. Gal Gadot said it. Jason Momoa said it. Like they've all said it's been a bad experience. But listen, dude, just because you had a bit of a shitty time with Joss Whedon and you didn't get on with some of the higher ups at Warner Brothers or whatever, doesn't mean you have to go for them like every day with some new vague thing about what they've done where you're not actually saying anything of importance or like anything specific.
Yeah, and also this could be really harmful for his career if he wants to continue acting.
I think it's already been harmful for his career.
Yeah,
I
like
think I think the second he started going for all these people so much, every studio was like, I don't want to work with this guy.
exactly, people just aren't gonna want to work with him if
Which I mean, like, sure, he says he doesn't mind. He says he likes being a theater actor. I used to watch him on Twitch, so like I know that he says he likes his theater acting, but at the end of the day, man, you were no one, and then you became Cyborg, and now what? You just gonna throw that all away? Any chance of building your career any further?
yeah, like when he was cast as Cyborg, people didn't know who he was. Like
No, he'd been in nothing apart
he
from I
was
think
in
like a
nothing.
few episodes of True Detective or something.
Yeah, and
Like this
now
is not the kind of career to start like burning bridges.
definitely like he doesn't want to start getting a really bad reputation if he's gonna continue acting. Like it's not gonna be helpful at all if he's gonna try and get some more roles in big stuff, because Warner Brothers probably won't consider working with him again, and they make a considerable amount of films that he could potentially have been in if he'd have been nice to them. But what are they gonna
Well,
do though? What are they gonna do? Because if they're gonna replace him, are they gonna just not address it in Flashpoint? Like, oh, or are they gonna like reboot him? Or
honestly, mate, the way the DCEU is going, I reckon Flashpoint's a soft reboot anyway. So I reckon they just don't address him at all. I reckon it's like they just. I mean, Walter Hamada's extended his contract with Warner Brothers, so I wouldn't be surprised if like you just never see Cyborg again. Like just as a character, you never see him in the DCEU again. Like he's not gonna get his movie because that solo movie was apparently gonna happen fucking years ago, and it's not happened yet.
yeah,
So the way I think it goes is like you get you get him in Zack Snyder's Justice League, which is out of canon, and then that's it. You never see Cyborg in the DCEU again. You just get him on Doom Patrol in what
yeah, he is in
13
that.
or Earth 24 or whatever that is. Like it's kind of crazy because he was gonna have a small role in Flashpoint. Like originally, because I mean Flashpoint. This movie's been trying to get made for like 15 years, So like the Flash movie's been a long time in the making, and previous scripts that within the DCEU have included Cyborg. But since Andy Muschietti took over, he's doing his own thing. He's clearly not following the comics. So Cyborg was just going to have a very small, almost cameo role, and I don't think Ray Fisher was very happy about that, to be honest.
He must be the main character in the Flash movie.
Well, that
Cyborg.
yeah, of course. I mean, when you're writing a Flash movie, you write it for Cyborg. Come on, everyone knows this.
Okay, before we get too far into this rabbit hole, why don't we move on to another man with a metal face, which is Doctor
That's
Doom.
very true. Yeah, best not get any further down that rabbit hole. So yeah, Doctor Doom. He's okay. I'm not gonna say he's coming to the. I mean, he is gonna come to the MCU, but I'm not gonna say anything's confirmed because this is just a rumor, and a report from Fandom Wire, who are a bit hit and miss, but they're not an untrustworthy source. I mean, they were right about the Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield things coming to Spider-Man 3. So I trust them. I trust them. What are you thinking? What are you thinking, bro?
Well, I'm assuming if it's Black Panther 2, then they're gonna do the whole Doom War thing where he's taking over Wakanda and like the royal family. I'm pretty sure in the comics that he like it would make sense because in the comics I'm pretty sure he took T'Challa. I'm pretty sure he did that in the comics, right?
I think so. I
I
think so.
think I think so. I
Don't
read
quote me
that.
on that, but I think so.
I'm pretty sure I read that he took him or something, and he came in and was like took over the Wakanda royal family to get some vibranium because he realized how useful it is. So that's probably what they're gonna go with for Black Panther 2 because that's
Oh, dude, do you think that could be the name? Black Panther 2, Doom War.
that. Ooh,
I would, I would cream my pants, man. That would be so sick.
I think that would be a good title, yeah. But then from there, I'm guessing they'll start like properly building him up to be the next big villain of the MCU, as well as they've got the problem is though they've got multiple. Like they got Kang. I'm assuming they'll go with Galactus way down the line from here.
Yeah.
But there'll be a lot of big villains, so I don't know what they'll do.
Well, I think what they're doing is they're doing smaller Thanoses simultaneously in terms of like you've got the Skrulls and like the whole Secret War, Secret Invasion kind of thing. Then you've got Kang being built up, and I wouldn't be surprised if he's more Young Avengers based. Um, so you got like what Skrulls is more like a MCU as a whole thing. Then you got Kang, who I wouldn't be surprised, as I said, if he was more Young Avengers centric. And then because they're clearly building them up, and then you have, as you say, Doom, who I think is just gonna be everywhere. Like he's gonna be like, "Oh, cool, your king's dead, right? Well, you're vulnerable. You don't have a leader, and the leader you do have is what some like 17-year-old girl. No, thank you. I'm gonna take over your country. I'm gonna steal your resources." And then he's gonna move on, get defeated. He'd be like, minor setback because it's fucking Doom. Like this guy ain't gonna give up. Yeah, and he'll appear in other places, and then eventually he'll be this massive threat.
I'm assuming the next place he'll appear is probably Fantastic Four from Black Panther 2.
I, maybe. I mean, I don't think he will. To be honest, I think if they're gonna do a Fantastic Four film, which we obviously know they are gonna stay as far away from Doom as they possibly can until like the third movie, I reckon.
Well, he doesn't have to be actually like a big role in it, but he could still like appear in like a post credit scene or something.
I wouldn't be surprised if we get a mention of like, oh, Reed Richards, I need someone to help me build this thing. I know a guy, Victor Von Doom. He's a bit of a dick, so I'm not gonna contact him though. And then that's all you get.
Yeah,
And then it's like maybe you get more things down the line. He's like, and then like Doom with his sort of like relationship with, well, not relationship, but like his kind of feelings towards Susan and all that sort of stuff, and let that build. Like Doom is a sick character, and if done right, I mean, hey, give him his own show. To be honest, I
he could
know
do.
who was it that was writing a Doom script. He was a fantastic, very like huge director. It wasn't Del Toro, I don't think. I think he no, I can't remember who it was, but some huge director was writing a Doom script, and apparently it was sick. Like this is back in like the Fox days, like in the later Fox days. So I wouldn't be surprised if we get him in Black Panther 2, and then we get an origin show on Disney Plus. Because I don't know if you know much about Doom's origin, but like, it's so sick. Like, this is what his origin is, same as Magneto, is what makes him one of the best villains in Marvel Comics. Like, he wants to save his mum because his mum's ill, and he's like willing to do anything, and like they could take like the sorcerer route with him and stuff like that. Like, dude, Doom is so sick, and I cannot wait to see him slowly become like built up in the MCU.
It's been a long time coming, though.
It has, it has.
When was the last time he was in? Maybe was it like Fantastic Four 2? Rise of the Was he in that one?
He was. Because
Was
there
he?
have been no Fantastic Four films since that one.
Exactly.
We don't know of any other films. There could have been a low budget one. I think there was, directed by this very, Josh Trank. I think he made a very low budget fan film. I think
Yeah.
I think I heard about that. I think I saw it on the YouTubes, but I can't be sure. But what about just like before we close off the show? What about casting? Who are you thinking?
Everyone thinks it should be Esposito, but honestly, I don't think so. I don't think he should play every villain that's ever existed. Can he have a nice character?
Personally, I still want him as a villain. Personally, I want him as
he is
Norman
such a good
Osborn.
villain, but I don't want him to be typecast as every villain ever now.
I get you though. Yeah, he is terrifying though.
He is.
I mean, he's a lovely guy, but he's terrifying when he acts. So yeah, no, I get what you're saying. I mean, personally, I'd like to see the what's his name, the Peaky Blinders guy plays Tommy Shelby, and he's also Scarecrow.
Cillian Murphy.
Cillian Murphy. Now I want you to close your eyes and picture this. You've got the Doom mask, right? You got the hood, you got the armor. It's all looking sick. And behind that mask, the only thing you see are his eyes.
Ooh.
Dude, fucking, that'd be sick, man. Like that would terrify the shit out of me.
I mean, they could go with him, but again, they would probably want to get in Esposito, and it depends though. It depends, because if they want to do like, it depends how they want to change his origin story.
I mean, not that you can't have like Eastern European Latveria,
Yeah.
right? It's not that you can't have like people of color in like Eastern European countries, but I'm just thinking even that goes against my Cillian Murphy casting. But I think it'd be cool to have someone of that sort of like ethnic origin, or like that. That would personally be cool to see, like someone with an accent, someone with like the kind of accent like where it's a bit foreign, but you can't really quite pinpoint it. Where you're like, I know you're not from here, but I don't know where, but your voice is cool. That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah. Oh, I wonder though. I wonder what they'll do.
I had Joaquin Phoenix a few years ago before the Joker movie. I thought he would be sick.
Depends though. If they could go with someone of Eastern European. They could. I'm sure there's a lot of good actors out there.
I mean, the only one I can think of is Mads Mikkelsen, and he's already in the MCU, so.
True. I don't think they'd want him as two people.
No, me neither. That would get very confusing. Not that he'll probably return as whatever that character was called.
Caecilius?
Caecilius. Not that he'll probably return as Caecilius because he became a mindless one, but still. It's still, if you look back, if you'd like an MCU watch through in like 3 years' time, it would be very weird to see him play two characters.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true.
Wrapping up this topic, I'm I'm more excited than anyone could possibly know. Love Doom, such a cool character. Got done very dirty, especially in that low budget fan film from 2015.
Yeah, it looks like they put a plastic bag on his head.
Although, to be fair, I don't think you can call it a fan film. So yeah, very excited. And with that, closing off, it's time to wrap up the podcast. Thank you guys very much for listening to the podcast. I'm sorry if the audio quality sounds kind of crap. I'm having to use my phone again to record the podcast. because my laptop is doing a weird thing with Discord. I don't know. So you might have heard it in the last podcast. Not that anyone watched it, but yeah. So make sure to subscribe, leave a comment, like, put your notification bell on so you know when we upload next, and also make sure to tell a friend. Get the channel awareness out there. We want to be known by the people. So tell a friend if you think they might like the podcast or the channel, and we'll see you next week.